you hear me? Good day and welcome once again to Love Bay Radio. I am your co-host, Dr. Alvin Hepburn, and I'm joined here with Dr. Maria MacDonald. And it's so good to have all of you joining in with us today. We are out of Nassau, Bahamas, and we invite all of you to call a friend, call a neighbor, call someone and tell them that yes, the relationship and marriage hour is on with the doctors, Dr. Hepburn and Dr. MacDonald. So you want to be a part of our exciting hour-long talk here at Love Bay Radio. We want to be discussing today, we want to discuss compatibility. What is compatibility? Is that important in a relationship, in a marriage? Is that important? Is it needed? And if people are not compatible, what would you advise them to do? People that are compatible, what would you advise them to do? So for this next hour, we want you to tune in and be a part of this live discussion. Dr. MacDonald, can you hear me? Okay. I know she was experiencing some technical difficulties. So when she signs in, we'll pick her up on the discussion on compatibility. First of all, what is compatibility? And is it important? Well, when we think about compatibility, we think about commonalities, having things in common, um, having the same likes, dislikes, or even if the likes are not the same, they are compatible with one another. Case in point, you like chicken, I like chicken, but I may like the chicken thigh while you like the chicken breast. That's compatible. So when we cook, we can still cook the whole chicken that both of us could enjoy. So that's a part of compatibility. Now, is that important for a relationship to last, to make it? Is compatibility something that we should focus on when we're thinking about who our partners should be? And here she is, Dr. MacDonald. Welcome
Thank,
to talk on compatibility.
thank you so much. Yes,
Are you,
great topic,
okay.
Doctor.
Are you still there? Okay, I don't know. Something is happening here in the Bahamas, but give us a few minutes, and when Doc jumps back in, we pray and hope that her internet stabilizes, that she'll be able to join in the conversation with on this topic of compatibility. What is it? We have found that persons who are not compatible, but what does that mean? That means when one is going left, the other is going right. When one is going up, the other is going down. My likes are your dislikes. Things that I want to do in life, you have no interest in, nor do you want to have all of this stuff before you get into this marriage. You have to discuss, you have to think about, you have to work out in a marriage, and even before you get married in a relationship. What bonds us together, what holds us as a union? There's one theory, is a biblical theory, which says two cannot walk together except they agree. And that there is the sum total, I say, of compatibility. two cannot walk together except they agree does not mean that they like the same thing, because there is difference between compatibility and uniformity. I don't feel that in a marriage there needs to be uniformity. However, I feel that there should be some level of comparability. We should have some things in common. We should, for the most part, be able to, for a lack of a better phrase, I want to use a colloquial term or phrase, we should be able to gel. And when I say gel, I mean we should be able to get along. Like me, I love fishing. I could go with my rod, or I could go freehand and sit on the dock all day catching fish. That does not interest my wife. My wife is basically the opposite. If you leave it to her, she can stay in her air-conditioned room. Once she has her laptop, her phone, or her game, she will be fine. So she's more of the homey person. I'm more of the outgoing person. But I don't think that means that we are not compatible. We still know how to gel. We still know how to work together. Doc, you are with us?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Yes.
Compatibility.
Yeah, I'm having some challenge, but this is a great topic, Dr. Alvin.
Okay, there we go again. It's a great topic. Yes, it is. So when we talk about this compatibility, it is different than uniformity. Because uniformity is we dress alike, we look alike, we talk alike. So if I like fishing, my wife should like fishing. If my wife likes watching a particular genre of television shows, I should like that too. But that is not needed in a marriage. Actually, I think we agree with the um, magnetic society, and what I mean by that, or the magnetic trends or forces. Opposites attract. North Pole and South Pole attract. North Pole against North Pole repels. But North and South attracts. That attraction is what we would call compatibility. And I think that's a powerful definition there, a powerful way of looking at it. Uniformity would be the North and the North, or the South and the South. But when we're talking about compatibility, we are talking more so about North and South. What is it that brings you together? How do you make it work? What do you have in common? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? And how do you balance that um, you still live in love and unity? And that's what it's all about. Where you have some persons that you can see even from the outset that they are not compatible, that they will be bucking heads, and they're in relationships. I have counseled many persons who've come in my office, and I'm like, wow, how are you all going to make this work? Y'all are on different levels, different playing fields altogether. And when I say different levels, I don't mean class. I don't mean you rich, she poor. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that the way both of you are thinking does not come together as one, that you can operate and function as a unit. You are still thinking differently. So therefore, as a result, you will always miss each other. Compatibility, Doc, I hear you're back with us.
Yes, I compatibility. This is such a relevant topic, especially right now, because what I find, this is important because people feel that even though they may not be um, together, even though they may not be compatible, they feel that we can go into this thing and it will work out eventually. And I've seen situations where persons would have been advised not to proceed with a relationship because the compatibility gap was so wide, and they felt that no, we love each other, and they thought that it would have worked, but it was a big failure. So when the compatibility gap is that wide, I suggest that people call off the relationship and at least see whether this is something you want to go into. And some people, they realize, but they feel that we can try to make this thing work, you know. But that's a real problem right now, compatibility.
Okay.
You
So
cannot,
my go on.
no, you cannot, what I want to say is you cannot ignore the warning signs.
Yes, yes. Now, when you talk about compatibility, you made a statement that the compatibility gap is so wide. So
Mhm.
so when I hear that statement, there is some quantification of compatibility and how somebody compares with the next, and how they have commonalities
Mhm.
between them. Is there a test that you use to test the level of compatibility?
Yeah, I imagine that based on what you are faced with, that itself will be able to tell you. You may find someone have a problem. They are totally in disagreement with certain things. And depend on their level of disagreement and how willing they are to come together, that can help you to determine the gap for a relationship. Meaning that meaning that for example, he doesn't like a woman who goes out to work for, and she is a woman that loves to work. She will not compromise. She will not compromise, and he will not give in. Now, if you have one of them willing to compromise, then you can make some headway in that relationship. But if both of them are headstrong, I don't want my wife working, and she is saying, I want to work. How do you deal with that? So the best thing is that's a gap because there's no mutual ground. They're not even trying to come together. And I have
Yeah.
heard about a relationship. I know about a relationship, I think, where both of them, he is saying his money is his money, his possession is his possession, and they could
Oh
not reach a
wow.
mutual ground. They could
Hmm.
not reach a mutual ground. So the counselor advised them to um, not get married, but they proceed. So
Hmm.
when you see what's happened, and if there's no form of coming together, you know, trying to work it out,
Yeah.
trying to
Um.
adjust.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my measurement right there. You can't come together.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I was saying, uh, while you were getting sorted out, was I was saying to the audience to do not confuse uniformity with compatibility, because those are two
Right.
different things. And yes, a marriage can last with there not being uniformity, but there must be some commonalities. There must be some you must be compatible in order for it to work. And an analogy that I use to talk about that is the magnetic field where north and south attracts. North and north repel, south and south repel. That force of attraction is what I would call com, com, uh, compatibility, where we are able to not be uniformed, but we are different to different people, but we come on common ground to make things work. And a personal example I gave was me. I love fishing. I could go sit on a dock, go sit in a boat all day with my line or my pole, throwing out, catching fish. I could do that. Whereas Tanya is a homely person. She can be in her room with her laptop, her phone, or her game, and she is contented with that. But me, you put me in a room too long with a laptop and a game, I those things would shut off. But put me outdoors in a boat. Oh, I'm in heaven. But because we like different things does not mean we are not compatible. It just means we aren't uniformed.
Right.
Because uniformity means that you look alike, you talk alike, you dress alike. No, that's not what relationships are all about. You in a relationship, you have to allow the person to be just that, the person. Let them be who they are, and they let you be who you are. But then you also need to know if you are compatible, you are able to adjust certain things. You are able to compromise. And that's where that compatibility comes in. And if you look at it from a food perspective, I like dark meat. I like the leg and the rib, whereas my wife likes the wing and the breast. So that being the case, we are compatible because both of us like chicken. And when they cook, I fight her for the pieces that I like, nor does she have to fight me for the pieces that she likes. But all of it is cooked. We are both satisfied. What are your take?
That's good. Because it is a good thing to know that you are compatible. And when there's no compatibility and it's so off, then yes, you have problems. But if he likes what I like, she likes what I like, we have a good relationship. However, it may be something else, but in respect to the compatibility side of it, yes. But that is not always the case in the Alvin.
Yeah.
Because when you find someone you come with, you're blessed. But to find someone and you like bungee jumping or swimming in the ocean, and your other party is afraid of water, you have a problem. I really believe that is where most problem may arise. And being in that especially if it's something that really or she really loves, whereas it affects the relationship, then you must consider whether this is something I want to go into. You must, because otherwise you could end up, frustrated.
Like I would say, like I would say that if you are in a religion, let's say a Christian religion, and the person that you think you love is in another religion, that may pose a problem. Because when it comes time to the christening of the baby or the rituals that we have in Christendom, your partner might say, well, I oppose all of those. I don't want those things. None of our children being brought up under that. Or it may be vice versa, where you may be a Muslim or a different religion, and you may want your children brought up under that. So if your husband or your spouse is a different religion, then there may be that contention in that marriage, and that can lead to separation. So you have to be very careful. And people would say, "Oh, don't bring religion in it because that does not affect the marriage." And I tend to disagree, because we are governed by what we believe, and that belief factor is a very powerful factor. People fought wars, people die for what they believe.
Right.
So
Oh,
if
yeah.
your belief system is diametrically opposite of mine, then we are totally non-compatible. So it will be hard. It will be hard for that type relationship to work. Watch what I said now. It will be hard, not impossible, but it will be hard for that type of relationship to work, because one person, one party, or both of you will have to compromise in those two circumstances. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, definitely. We see, it depends on how much you care about your person. It will be hard, but sometimes we reach that neutral ground. Let's try work it. I might not be able to, adjust to what you're into, but I'm willing to try coming at time, and it will be a strain, because you'll be doing something that you don't really want to do, and that's the difficulty right there. It may work for a while, but the challenge will come later. How willing are you to give up and compromise to make your spouse happy, because you're doing something that he likes, not so much you like? That's why it has to be that harmony in the relationship. That harmony has to be there, and if that is not there, then that's almost half of the relationship right there. So I think
people go on, Doc.
Yeah, that's why I believe persons really need to consider wanting to talk about the differences. If I'm, for example, what if I'm in a relationship with a certain religion, like you just said, and he's from a different religion? Do you think, and you know what? The Bible even referred to it, that you shouldn't be unequally yoked, simply because if you are of one religion, I'm of another, and I'm not willing to give or visit or come to you, and you're not willing to come to me, we will always have a strain on our relationship, right? It's either you go your way, I go my way. Now, if you're willing to work in a relationship like that, then that's fine. But here's the catch: the children, when they come along, how are you going to bring that balance? Because he would want them to go his way, right, and I want them to come. So we have a bigger problem. So when we talk about being compatible in relationship, we really need to give that top consideration and priority as to whether this is something I want to get into. In addition to love, we need much more ingredients to go into that relationship to make it what it ought to be. Because I don't think, saying you love that person is going to work. Because after a while, you get fed up and you realize this is not working. I don't want this.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that is what we need to consider when we talk about relationship.
And
Yeah.
two, Doc, this is why a long time ago we talk about how the foundation of all good relationships should be
Mhm.
friendship. Who you are friends with are people that basically
Mhm.
you feel their spirit, you can gel with them, you can hang out with them, you are basically compatible with them.
That's right.
So
That's
you
right.
already
And
passed that first hurdle. Go
mhm.
on.
You're so right, Dr. Alvin. Because guess what? You find some person who would not even have a relationship, a love relationship. They're friends, but they're compatible. And you would find they would find themselves so easy to build a relationship. It wasn't love all the while, but it's just that compatibility. And I think that's where people get
Yeah.
confused. They confuse compatibility with love. Oh, we do everything together, just what I like, he like. That's you're compatible with that person. Now, that relationship, they can develop that quickly, much quicker than someone who say they love someone and they're not compatible.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then too, that just puts an extra burden, an extra strain, because on a marriage with people who are compatible, you still have your issues. You
Exactly.
still have your burdens that you have to bear, because marriage, whether you believe it or not, it is work. That's
Mhm.
marriage is something you got to work at. It is not just a okay, I punch in my card one day and that should last for life. No, marriage is something that every day, every morning you get up, you have to work it. Does that
That's right.
mean that it's not enjoyable? To the contrary, marriage is very enjoyable once you work
Yes,
it right. Uh, uh,
exactly.
um, and people who are working it right are still having issues in the marriage. Why add to that this next this next issue of incompatibility?
Mhm. That is so
Yeah,
true. That
yeah.
is so true.
Because I kind of think though that what what holds people to gather is that they have commonalities. They have
Yes.
things in common.
Hmm.
Yes, Tanya may not like chocolate ice cream, but she like ice cream. And when we
Hmm.
go out, I get her
That,
flavor and I get my flavor, and we sit down and we eat
and we happy.
and we're
And we happy.
happy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
But what if Tanya
right.
was totally against ice cream,
Uh,
and and she feels like nobody should be eating ice cream. Ice cream is the worst thing ever. Then
right.
I'm gonna have to sneak. I have to sneak to eat ice cream,
And that's where the
or I
problem comes.
she looking, or when she ain't around,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's what, when you're not compatible, that's what you find yourself doing, because
Hmm.
you don't want to hurt the person, but you
Hmm.
don't want to deprive yourself so much that you don't have any enjoyment.
Right. Right.
And that's
Well,
why compatibility is
mhm.
so important. And for those who are just tuning in, yes, you are listening to the Relationship and Marriage Hour here with Dr. Maria MacDonald, and I am Dr. Alvin Hepburn. We are out of Nassau, Bahamas, and today we are talking about compatibility. Is it important? Is it needed to keep a marriage together? And why, if it is needed, why should a couple focus on this before they get married, and why should they continue to focus on it after they get married? I say before you get married, if the person that you're thinking about is not compatible to you, you should think again. Even though the relationship may could work, it's going to be a rough road. That's from
That's
my
right.
years of experience and years of counseling and seeing how things work out. It could work. I'm not going to tell you that your marriage cannot work,
Mm-hmm.
boy, but you can have to make it work.
That's right.
It's going to
That's
pull a
right.
lot out of you. Yeah. Go on,
Mm-hmm.
Doc.
And Doc, you said something that is so true in respect to relationship. Okay, and I'm giving scenarios. You are married to a woman or a man, whatever, and can you imagine you love family? He prefers to just stay home. You
Uh-huh.
want to go on a Sunday afternoon and gel with family. So can you imagine what that will look like? Especially if, like you say, with the ice cream, you have to be sneaking to get a cup of ice
Yeah.
cream because she doesn't like ice cream. So here it is
Mhm.
now. He loves family, she doesn't. She preferred to just stay in the home and don't no one bother. She's not that sociable. These are things that causes breakdown in relationship. Um,
Yes.
and I call it, even in addition to compatibility, it's selfishness, because you should not hold your spouse to down if he loves one thing and you love something else. You try
Yes.
to work together, compromise. Okay, I'll do this because you like it, but it has to be done in a loving manner, and not in a grudging way. Oh, only because you say you do it, I'm doing. These are things I believe that majority of our relationships are broken because of this incompatibility. So we just have to be able to give and take. Today I'll go with you, then tomorrow maybe you go with me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And all of that is so important because understand that the marriage is a unit. It is a coming together of two individuals to form their own culture. And in forming of culture, you find what you all two have in common, and how you all can make this thing work. That's what marriage is all about, making it work.
Mhm. Making it work.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what has to happen.
So
It,
I think the best thing then in a relationship, Doc, is that if you're not compatible and you feel that strongly about whatever the situation may be in a relationship, then perhaps the best thing or solution is not to get married if you are not yet married.
mhm,
But what can we say for
yeah,
persons who are already married and they're not compatible? How can we help those persons?
they can be helped, but like we discussed already, they need to know that it's a rough road, that they're gonna have to work it. And what I would say to persons who are not really compatible, there has to be some level, some degree of commonality. Start right there. Magnify that small area. Find
Mhm.
what the likes and dislikes are, and see how you can mesh them together to make them work.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And in addition to, perhaps they would have to do some series of counseling or some in order to help guide them on how to pull it together. And
Yeah,
it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but it's workable, like you say.
it is. Yeah, yeah.
But
And
I,
go on, go on.
I'm thinking too of patience. It's so many factors that go into, and that's why you can see it's not a 1, 2, 3 step. It's a process that will have to be gained in this regard. It's not going to be a quick fix because you dealing with personalities.
Yes. And sometimes you deal with multiple personalities all at the same time coming from the same person. Uh,
Yes.
uh, so so you have to be anchored and you got to be so focused that you are able to deal with that moving forward. But
Mm-hmm.
I just think that let me use this next analogy. Um, you live out east, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a job out Lifewood Key, and those of you outside of the Bahamas don't know what I'm talking about. But Lifewood Key is out west, total opposite area, total opposite area. So you take a job out west, but you live out east. If you had a car to drive to work, it can take you when there's no traffic jam. It may take you about a half an hour to 45 minutes to get there. You
Mm-hmm.
could take that job knowing that you don't have a car, but guess what now? You can still get to work, but if you have to walk, you could still walk, but it can
Mm-hmm.
take you the amount of effort you got to put in to make that work. Mind
Powerful.
you, it can work,
Mm-hmm.
but it's easier to have a car that you could drive than it is to have to walk because it's going to take you hours in walking to get there. So let's say
Yeah.
it takes you three hours to walk there. You got to be to
Mhm.
work for 8 o'clock in the morning. That means you got to leave home a minimum of 5 o'clock. It
5
could be
a.m. That's right.
it could be done, but it's a lot of work because by the time you reach the work, you're
And
tired.
yes, yes. And that shows, that proves how to compatible. And that is why some persons would advise individuals before they get into the marriage to consider or reconsider getting married, because the compatibility, it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
Because like you
yeah,
say, to put in all that effort to get up every morning 5 a.m. to reach a job at 8 a.m. in the morning, eventually you're going to get tired. And sometimes you get tired quicker than you even know it. So
yeah,
people will give up.
yeah. It's doable, but you don't. I don't know if you want to do it every day for the rest of your life
That's it. It's
because you
not going
could
to
get
work.
fed up.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why people said it to me, and I'm saying it to others that you got to watch out for the signs
Yes,
because it's those
yes.
signs that help you in choosing who that partner is that you can spend the rest of your life with.
Hmm.
And then seeing how, because I am old fashioned and I know you may be old fashioned too in this regards, Doc, that um if you want to know how a woman can treat you, see how she treats her mother and father. See how your husband to be treats his parents. Is he disrespectful? Is he rude? Is he, let
Now
me
that
yeah,
is so true. But I
if
wonder
he is
if
low manners, then expect that's what you can get at home.
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
true. And as Bahamians, that I don't know if they do it in foreign, but that was one of the things I looked for when I got married with my husband. The first thing, and I don't know where it came from, because just to say I'm old fashioned, that wasn't. You can tell me I was old fashioned, but I just thought, if we're going to get married, let me see where your parents are. So my question was then, where's your mother and dad? Are they together? Are they married to each other? These were like questions that I asked, because sometimes children live what they see. So if they see
Yes.
daddy is not in home, or they see daddy is going out, chances are they're going to do what daddy did. And that's why I speak to our men especially. Make sure your children see you doing good things, because they are going to emulate you. And the thing is, when you see yourself in them, you want, where did you get that from?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. So in incompatible, what you want to see your child as in the future, you show them that. You know.
Right now. Yes, in the now.
Yeah, and then that is what helps them to, and it saves the children also a lot of problem, because guess what? If they see dad do it, and we talk about this so often about cutting the ham at the end when it wasn't
Yeah.
necessary. So
Yes.
if they see dad doing it, it doesn't mean it's right, but they jump in and they do the same thing because dad is doing it and married. So they feel that's how to make a relationship work. Or dad scream at mom,
Yeah.
and they do likewise. So there's so many issues that you look at when you're talking about coming into marriage.
Yes.
You know, not even to mention compatibility, you know, because if you're not compatible and you have all of these other situations to deal with, that's frustrating in itself. So I think when person think about getting married, that's why it's so important. Let's be friends first. As friends, you can learn so much better from each other. And and like I say, we find those persons that were friends, they get married and they have a beautiful relationship.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes.
Now, if they didn't have a good
But that
compatibility of friends, eh,
go on, dog.
yeah. No, I was saying if they don't have a good relationship of friends, chances are they're not going to get married.
That is
But
true.
when they have that compatibility, it's so easy for them to begin dating and become friends. You know, I often hear sometimes friends, good friends, they're talking, and you may hear them say, "Well, boy, I can't marry her. I can't marry him because he does some
Uh-huh.
things." Right then, that tells you, you know that we are not compatible.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Because too, let me just use another example. Um, with a personal example. Tanya does not like, or her allergies, or she gets sick around among smoke. So even when we go on vacation, if we enter a room, in about 5 minutes, she knows right away that somebody was smoking inside that room because she gets headaches, all that type stuff. So if I was someone who loved cigarettes or who loved to smoke, then I should know, boy, Tanya is not the way to go.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about here when we talk about being compatible. It cannot just be about you.
Hmm. Yep. So true.
Yeah. And yeah. And that's where we're at. That we
Hmm.
have people and we wonder why so much wars are happening in marriages, because you took
Hmm.
two people that are not compatible, two people who don't really know what love is, two people who don't know about the big C's, your commitment and your communication, and we can throw another C there, and charity,
Hmm.
your love work. So you have all of these, boy, but if you are not compatible, that's gonna be rough. That's gonna be rough trying to make that work. And I'm saying it that way because I said, listen, two persons may call us and say, we are not compatible at all, but we get along so well. That's power to you. We are not disputing that that can happen. However, what we are saying on today is that you should focus somewhat on that word. Try to be compatible. That will make your work a lot easier when you try to be compatible. And that's what we are trying to do here, to wisen you up on what that look like.
Mm-hmm.
Because compatibility does not mean uniformity. And I can say that all through this broadcast. It does
Mm-hmm.
not mean uniformity. We're not trying to get your spouse to be a part of the Navy SEAL or whatever the prevailing armies do. We're not trying to get y'all to be a part of that. In the relationship, you have to be able to feel comfortable. You have to be able to be who you are and don't feel ashamed or don't feel like you're being judged. And that happens when you pick the right partner who is compatible to you. On a case in
I'm
point,
wondering,
go on.
Doc, if that could be the reason why there are infidelity in relationships. Because if there is no compatibility and your spouse is perhaps talking with somebody else, or and they are showing them, oh, we get along, we gel, we talk, could that be one of the reasons that cause uh, um, infidelity in relationships?
Yes.
Or is it that strong
I
to cause it to
I
happen?
I think that's one of the reasons, dog.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the reasons. Because even when during your counseling and you talk to them, it is like, oh, they stopped checking for me. They're not concerned about me. And I found somebody whose likes are similar. So I start
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with them. And it may have been innocent at the
Mm-hmm.
initial, but as you continue to hang out with them and you realize that, boy, I compatible with this person, you
Mm-hmm.
you then you then join to them, or you want to be in their company more and all that type of stuff, and now you are on dangerous grounds. I think it was Solomon who asked a question. King Solomon is, can a man take fire, put it to his bosom, and not be burnt?
Mm-hmm. That's
And
it.
that's what you do when you place somebody whose likes are similar to yours, and you are in a closed environment, that you develop an affinity for that person, and that can be misconstrued as, boy, I love you.
That's right. That's right. That's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. And that's why there are so many issues in the relationship, especially when there's no compatibility.
And then
Because you
two
look for
talk.
someone that is going to give you that, and the love is not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then too, that could be one of the reasons why you will find that infidelity tends to happen with people in the workplace. Why?
Exactly.
Because we find interest in the same things,
And
and
right.
we are around each other a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow, that is powerful.
Yep.
That is powerful right there.
So
So
that
that's
is why
something too that you got to fight against.
you have to. And that is why we should be able to compromise, not compromise per se, but be willing to give. If he wants us, you're not compatible, but you're trying now to work this thing. So you would have
Uh-huh.
to give him and let me enjoy what he likes this time. He knows
Mhm.
I doesn't like it, but he will see that I'm trying, or she will see that I'm
Yes.
trying,
Yes.
and that is one way of
Yeah.
pull that relationship, even though it's no compatibility. But sometimes the problem there is people are not willing to go the extra mile.
And that's so true.
They may not be willing. Hmm.
But what is
Because you
so
have
funny
to.
to what is so funny to me, Doc, is that these same persons who are not willing to go the extra mile in a relationship goes the extra mile on the job.
Mhm.
And they do the extra mile, watch this, on the things they like.
Uh-huh.
So
Hmm.
that's another
Hmm.
topic that we can discuss later on how do you strike that
Yes.
balance.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because marriage you need to fight for and you need to work. It doesn't
Hmm.
just come like that. It's a give and take. It's a it's
Yeah, give
a
them.
yeah, it's a I I am happy when I see you are happy.
Right. And that's what the love will bring in. When
Yes.
there's love, when you love that person, even though you're not compatible, you're willing to do what he wants. And he likewise, in order to bring that harmony.
To make you happy. Yeah. 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 Good stuff, Doc.
So,
That's a good topic. Yeah.
mhm, yeah.
That that we need to be more so compatible if we want to make the relationship and the marriage work. And those of you who are
Hmm.
just joining us in our last section or part, the last 10 minutes of our broadcast, you are listening to Love Bay Radio. And we thank you for tuning in and joining us on this Sunday, um, the 7th of July. Thank you for joining in with us. But we're talking about this word compatibility. Doc, I think we have to enter this word as one of those big C words because we talked about
Yes.
whether you can
Commitment.
commit, and we
Hmm.
also talked the next C. What was the next C word? It was commitment,
Charity.
and it was well love, charity, and now you have compatibility. But there was another C word that we talk
Compassion.
communication. Those, yeah. So
Communication.
you have to check your level of commitment, you have to check your level of communication, and you have to check now
Hmm.
your level to see whether you are compatible. Those are some heavy hitters. Those C words are
Yes.
very heavy. Yeah,
Very heavy. Very heavy.
yeah,
Because if you have those down pat, then you got a good relationship. And what I see too, persons may not be able to understand why my relationship is not the way I want it. You go in one way, she's going the next. But when you stop and you realize it's compatibility, because I listen to the guys and I hear them talk when they talking sometimes, and they saying, man, me and her get along so good, we don't have no problem and stuff like that. Why is it you get along with somebody else that's not your spouse,
yeah,
right? So if you can, and then the woman has something to do as well, because you have to now shift your focus and begin to work together.
yes, yes. I
Because if you
I
don't,
uh, shared I shared a biblical principle at the beginning of the show, um, where it says, two cannot walk together except they agree.
exactly, exactly. So that's your compatibility right there.
Yes, that
So
level
when you
of
would
agreement.
Right. So whether you got married solely because of love or because of lust, whichever, and you realize that we are not compatible, then you have to sit down and determine how are we going to fix this. How much am I willing to put into it to make it work? Or am I willing to put in anything to make it work? There has to be a conscious effort made on the part of both individuals.
Yes. Yes. And you cannot be stuck in your dogma, or you cannot be so rigid that you are not able to bend or to flex to your partner's needs and wants. Because when
That's
you
right.
go into the relationship is such that it is Alvin's job to
Mhm.
help Tanya, as it's Tanya's job to help me, and to help to meet those
That's right.
needs and those wants and those desires. So we work, we set the
Yes.
culture where we can work it out and make everyone happy. And we talked about this when we
Yes.
talked about communication, and we'll
Mhm.
talk about it, I guess, in future when we talk about conflict. That
Mhm.
that the end result should always be a win-win situation. If it's
Always
not a win-win situation, then
will not work.
the entire union has lost. It cannot be
Yes.
husband win this time, wife lose. If that's the case,
Yes.
then both of you lost.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Powerful.
must always be win-win.
Powerful. Mhm. It always
And
must be a win-win.
yeah, yeah. Like I would tell them at our church, it is, buddy, if the church needs to be painted, we all need to agree that it needs to be painted. Now, the discussion then
Right.
is not whether the church needs to be painted. Now, the discussion is, or what color we can paint the church. What are we going to use? Because you could
Exactly.
use you could spray paint, you could use the roller, or you could use the brush, or you could use a combination of all of them. And the way I see
Hmm.
that is the same way I see marriage. Is you can use a combination of all, but at least the
That's
goal is being fulfilled. The church is being
it's
painted,
being
or the
fulfilled.
building is being painted.
That's right. That's right. So you add a bit of everything to make it work.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good.
And the compatibility too is, well, you may say, I don't know how to operate the spray can, so that's why I'm voting against that. I know how to use the roller brush. So I don't discriminate
Right.
you for using your roller brush. And you don't discriminate
Hmm.
me because I want to use the spray can. But both of
Right.
us, with joy and happiness, paint the building.
Hmm. That's right. That is so good.
Be compatible. We can be.
Yes. Yes. So I trust that our listeners are able to use some of what they would have heard, or all if
Yeah.
possible, in order to bring their compatibility in their relationship. The beauty of a relationship is if it wasn't working before and you get it to work, it is so, so good.
Yes. Yes, it is. It is. And
Mhm.
I say marriage will work if you work it, but you have to
Yes.
put the time in.
Yes.
You got to put the time in. You
You
have to
have to
have,
put time in.
yeah. You can't be double minded, or you can't be, like we say, wishy washy. You have to decide, this is what I want. This is what
Hmm.
I'm going to do,
You got to be
and
straight.
I'm willing to do what it takes to make it work.
Yes. Yes. Straight up.
And that's how you got
Straight
to
up.
operate. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But for those who are
So,
joining, this is our last minute. Go on, Doc. In our last
yeah.
minute.
So, yes. Well, I would love to let them persons know that even though there's no compatibility, working it will take time, but you can do it.
Good show. Good show. And my closing remarks to you is, it'll work if you work it. And then don't be so dogmatic, and don't be so rigid that you are not, like, it's my way or the highway. In marriage, in relationship, it has to be a season of give and take. It has to be a season of, okay, I can take one for the team, but make sure always that the marriage always wins. Once you fight that the marriage win,
Yes.
you should be fine.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
want to thank those of you who've joined us. And we say join us again next week for another hot topic as we discuss relationship and marriage. You were watching us here at the Love Bay Radio station, and we say to you, thank you for joining in with us. Have a great day.
Bye.